And welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment of our program brought to you by Madisonville Marine. They've always got great deals going on down there. And right now, you can get a terrific deal through November 18th on a 75 horsepower 4-stroke motor, free 3-year extended warranty for a total of 6 years on Yamaha motors. Just tremendous. You can also get $500 credit on select Yamaha motors. Boats, like you wouldn't believe, best selection in East Tennessee. People come from Georgia, people come from Nashville over to Madisonville Marine, but also motors. If you just need a boater for your boat, the place to go, Madisonville Marine. All right, want to welcome in the next member of our Vol squad here, Daniel Hood, former Vol defensive lineman. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, I'm going to start with our hot reads. We've got 2 quick questions. I'm going to start with Daniel. A lot of linemen out here, so I'll start with you, though. Who did a better coaching job? I didn't expect the offensive line to play as well as it did with those freshmen. I didn't expect the defensive line to step up like it did against Alabama. Which staff gets the most credit, the offensive side or the defensive side?
I'm going to go against my gut and go with the offensive line. And I'm going to say that the defensive line really just got healthy more than anything else, so hats off to Jason McVay in that one. But the offensive line to come out, 2 true freshmen on the right side, I thought was absolutely incredible. And again, hats off to Coach Mahoney recruiting those guys in. They beat out Drew Richmond, who's a big 5-star coming in, and so it means we got good depth coming into the offensive line. So it's exciting.
Will?
I think if you give a coaching job, you have to say offensive line, because I think, on the defensive line, you saw Corey Vereen, who I think has that ability, step his game up and be more consistent. But as far as coaching ability and taking 2 freshmen and getting them in that game and making them competitive against Alabama, coaching, definitely have to go offensive line.
David, a couple of weeks ago, Georgia game, you and Jacob Gillum, Jacob couldn't be with us today, but you and Jacob both pointed out the fact that Mike DeBoer did a pretty good job of protecting those freshmen in pass protection situations, covering some of their shortcomings. Your thoughts on the job that they did with the offensive line, your old position, yesterday down in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, whenever you have young guys like that out there, the number one thing, if they're playing, hopefully they're physically capable of holding their own, which I think they are, and they've shown that they have. It's the mental aspect. Are they going to be able to pick up the stunts, recognize the defenses, hear the calls, know what's going on? And that's why I go with the offensive line coach as well. They did a really good job. But don't want to take anything away from the defensive line. They had really nice production out there. Offensive line, I think we gave up 5 sacks, but not all of that was on the 2 freshmen. So it was a surprisingly delightful job by them going out there. I was really concerned that Joshua Dobbs might get killed, but he made it out okay, and they did well enough to almost win the game.
Alabama did a good job of keeping his legs from becoming a bigger factor, I thought. In terms of the zone read, he was giving it up more. Even on I guess most of his yards came on scrambles for the most part. It wasn't a lot of the design runs. There were a couple of quarterback keepers where he did well, but I thought Alabama did a good job of not allowing him to beat them single-handedly, which I think he did to Georgia. Jimmy, I'll start with you on the next one. There's, Aaron Medley last year was promising, 20 of 26. Mm-hmm. There's no question this year he is struggling. Everybody sees it. Butch Jones, his teammates all came out and said he is our kicker. We all win together, we lose together. And I think that's exactly what you want to hear. The question is, you're Butch Jones, what do you do behind the scenes? There's what you say in support of this young man. What do you do if you're Butch Jones? You just you hope he works his way through it? Do you start looking at other kickers? What do you do?
You look at the other options that you have, and one of them potentially is George Bullock. Now, here's the thing that we don't know. If in practice you have him kick 20 field goals, and Medley's making 18 and Bullock's making 17, and he's close, I'm going to probably go with Bullock. But if Bullock's making 10 out of 20 and Medley's making 18, then I'm going to probably stick with Medley, because he is at least showing in practice. I know in the games he hadn't been getting it done, but there's not enough of it. He's not closing the gap, Bullock isn't, if he's only making 10 out of 20. So how they're practicing would influence that a little bit. If it's close, I'm going to go with Bullock. The thing about Medley is he's still pretty good inside the 40s. In his career, he's 27 out of 30. But when he's kicking a field goal outside of 40 yards, he's 2 out of 12. 1 of 6 this year, 1 of 6 last year. And if I get in that situation again, I'm probably going for it if it's 4th and 3, 4th and 4, rather than try a field goal.
You have Fuad Reveiz on with you on Football Finals on WNML. Any comments from Fuad about Aaron Medley yesterday.
Yeah, he said on Football Finals last night, he said that Medley, for the first time, according to Fawad, wasn't kicking with the proper fundamentals. He said that he was leaning back a little bit. He wasn't kicking through the football like he usually does, and that he thought maybe he was kicking a little bit scared, but he had not seen that until last night, and that concerned Fawad about Medley not kicking with the right fundamentals.
Anybody else anything to add there?
I think you do have to consider, if you're Butch Jones at this point, if it's a 40-yard field goal, 40 plus, am I punting or am I going for it? I don't think you have to put yourself in a situation that right now Medley's not capable of doing that. Don't keep putting him in that position and expecting different results. Either find someone else to kick that long field goal or decide something else you're going to do, because right now it's not helping you.
Yeah, I'll give him a slight pass on the 50-yard, 50 plus. He had two 51-yarders. That's tough. The 43-yarder, you've got to be consistent from 50 in, I would think. And he's not. And that first one, the 43-yarder, part of that goes on Josh Dobbs, because he could have gotten rid of the ball. Instead, he took about an 8-yard sack that turned that from a 35-yard field goal into a 43-yard field goal. And that gets back to, don't put him in a bad position.
Right.
Your quarterback has to be smart and get rid of that football and not take that sack right there. When we come back, fame or blame, we'll talk about Trevor Daniel. Wasn't his best day after he's been fantastic all year. We'll talk about Jalen Reeves-Maybin. We'll talk about the corners. Fame, blame, who deserves it? Come on back on the Sports Source.
From East Tennessee to the Carolinas, no job is too big for Benedict Construction. Patios and decks, custom remodels, even custom homes. With a reputation for excellence, rely on the custom work of Benedict Construction.